Charles Stanley Livingston, West Memphis, Arkansas, born and raised. I've been the sports editor of the Evening Times since July of 2013, and people hate me. Well, previous experience with journalism, minored in journalism at the University of Central Arkansas. I took a very competitive, exciting sports reporting class in the fall and the spring. Got the basic rundown of how to cover sports, what to look for, things like that, big plays, quotes. Did that. I had run a Memphis Grizzlies fan blog called BillStreetBears.com. I ran that from March of 2011 until I got hired at the paper in July of 2013. So really almost 2 seasons. I was the editor and I created all the content and things like that. This is my hometown newspaper for one, so I would like to tell people I've been reading the Evening Times since before I could read. I remember Billy Woods, was a great sports writer for many years. Still does a great job at the West Memphis School District. And basically, it was interesting to me. I feel like I kind of done all I could do in my previous stop. I wanted to do something that was more rewarding than I was doing, working in a law office, which is kind of lame. And so I went in there one day on a whim and talked to the couple people that worked up there, and we started talking. I sent them some of my clips and stuff from BillStreetBears.com, and things moved pretty quickly after that. They got the clips, they looked over it, and really within a month, I'd gone from being like a part-timer, like a stringer, a columnist, to I think it was July the 11th, I was hired as the full-time sports editor at the Evening Times, covering Marion High School, Earl High School, and West Memphis Christian High School. It's my job is to inform people and tell people what happened, and I honestly feel like I've always done that. I can honestly say I've never lied in anything that I've written. Whenever I lie, the first time I lie will be the last time that I'll resign the next day, so to speak. So that's, as long as I'm doing that, being credible, telling the truth, I can deal with it. I feel like most of my readers really enjoy the work. Get a lot of nice compliments on a weekly basis. I don't necessarily need compliments. Our numbers seem to be strong online, circulation. Again, it's a friendly relationship if nothing else. We get along. I think they like the work. There's, some people complain about my stuff being too long, but I'd rather be too long than, not long enough. And I think it's a good relationship, at least with most of them. And I appreciate that, and I feel like they do too. Some days I'll go in and it's really great, and we're joking around and slapping each other on the back, and we have cupcakes for birthdays. And then some days, really heavy days, I call them email days. Anytime I get more than 8 pieces of email from people, it gets kind of unpredictable, to say the least. But most days are quality. Have a good working relationship with the staff at the Evening Times, the editorial crew. We all allow each other to work, and that's very exciting. And we all support each other. We have each other's back. It is kind of like a team in a lot of ways. I read Mark Randall's stuff, Ralph Harden's stuff. They read my stuff. They critique it. I critique them, and just sort of from there, it's pretty good. It's a healthy working relationship, to be sure. Office availability is sort of, I hate to sound like kind of, but it's like it sort of is whenever I get by there. I try to go by during the day for an hour or so, maybe around 1:30 or 2 o'clock after I eat lunch, and check emails and voicemails and things like that. But certainly I'm there more at night. It's kind of hard to return phone calls if somebody calls and leaves a message on my office phone, because obviously I'll go in there sometimes at 10:30. Like the other night, I went to cover this volleyball game at Marion Nettleton. I don't think we got back till almost 11 o'clock. I'm not going to call somebody back then. Other than that, I feel like I'm held to the same high standard everybody else is, though. Do a good job, and like I said, just really kind of keep like a series of checks and balances, so to speak. We've been lucky. I've been lucky since I've been here. There hasn't really been any scandals aside from 1 or 2. that I've had to really do any, tough reporting on, difficult decisions and things like that. I've been lucky to that end, but whenever that happens, it's important to be to report factually, intelligent comments and explain the whole grasp of the situation, no matter how painful it may be. I like to think I cover every sport. It's some I'm present at more than others. I cover a lot of volleyball at Marion High School. They're of course a state-renowned, perennial state title contender there. Football, of course, football at Marion, Earl, and West Memphis Christian. Those football seasons really go from like the middle of August until I've covered games in the 1st of December before, when Earl was making neat playoff runs. That was exciting for the community and for me as well. It's great to see somebody local go deep into the playoffs. Covered basketball a lot. Marion, Earl, West Memphis Christian, ASU Mid-South. And then in the springtime, track and baseball and softball are big, and some soccer occasionally, as well as tennis and cross country. Get to as many people as you can. I guess like a wider range of sports than as wide as possible, I guess. West Memphis School District, they have a very good director of public relations who also covers their sports. His name is Billy Woods. Primarily West Memphis athletics are his job. In the past, I have covered some junior high events, junior high football, the West Memphis School District, East Wonder, inner city matchups, things like that. That probably went away like late September of 2014. It's not been a great relationship since then for a number of reasons. But probably the most critical thing I've ever written in my time was about, without going into too many specifics, West Memphis head football coach was kind of carrying on, making a scene. I touched on it in that Monday's edition of the Evening Times. It was not well received at West Memphis, and there's been sort of a mutual agreement to each go their separate ways since the goal in last Friday night's game was to kill the Marion football program. At least, that's what he said after his team executed a surprise onside kick. It took the new West Memphis football coach exactly 2 quarters and some change to flip the tone of the Blue Devil-Patriot rivalry on its head. His arrival in Northeast Arkansas gives the Marion West Memphis football series a potential villain for the first time in its young history. Was that he didn't sugarcoat anything on Friday night. He said what he wanted to say, and he had a lot to say. However he wanted to say it, worked the officials and called for that onside kick with the game having long been decided. He continued to call for long passes down the field and try to score as often as possible. Sorry. Performance last week showed that the rivalry between the two schools is alive and well and has probably jumped up a notch, especially on the gridiron. As for attempted murder on the Marion football program, I assume the Patriots are going to try to placate it on Friday night and Cersei the week after. There have been a couple of occasions where I've offered to help out, sort of fill in the blanks with West Memphis over the past 2 years now, I guess. One time was their inaugural West Memphis Athletic Hall of Fame banquet. That offer was declined by West Memphis, which is fine by me. I had other things to do anyway. But so sort of since then, as my girl Taylor said, there's been some bad blood, probably on both sides of the fence, and that's all right by me. I don't mind. Any criticism is basically it's a lot of people that for one, I think they don't really understand the dynamic, the situation. Billy Wood's role Billy's role in West Memphis athletics. My own role as Sports Center Evening Times. You got to understand, I cover 3 schools. If I were, I can't shortchange them to go do something else at West Memphis. So I would say we don't have a firm understanding of the dynamic that the working relationship that we have with Billy and with others at the West Memphis School District. And I would also add in, it's just just like anybody, if it's my boss Ralph Harden referred to it as a cognitive bias. I feel like the coverage is very well represented, the entire community. If you don't believe so, then I think, in my opinion, you probably just don't want to believe so. 18 new emails from a lot of anonymous. Dear Chuck Livingston, you suck. You are the worst sports writer, RIDER,
in Arkansas. Your paper is the worst, as are you. It's awesome. Let's see. You smell like fart. I'm sure this is going to be very mature. Dear Chuck, I walked by you earlier at Neighborhood Market and you smelled like fart. And a bad one, too. Is there a good fart? Worst sports writer ever. Dear Chuck, I thought that Wally Hall was the worst sports writer in Arkansas, but I was gravely mistaken. You are so much worse than him. How did you even get through school in the first place? You are the worst. Please crash your car off the bridge into the river and stop writing. In that order, I guess. Let's see. Cubs suck, Cardinals rule. What was I saying? Do you miss Harambe? Yeah, sometimes. Can your glasses get any bigger? I mean, seriously, what are you hiding behind those things? Were you responsible for 9/11? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Get back to me on that. Story about the moat, delete. Your grammar is awful, spelled U-R. Grammar is awful. You are. That's just an empty email, actually. I guess they didn't want to compose all that. Between you and nobody, I choose nobody. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, you know. Put your name on it, dude. Let's see. Blue Devil Hall of Fame press release. Oh, that couldn't be downloaded from the server for some reason. Okay. Are you still blocked? And here we go. I hope you are. Okay, so it was a question that I don't know that they really wanted an answer to. I'm not going to answer them. Ariana Grande fan club meeting. That's today. I got a JV golf. What's up with the JV golf? Okay. Let's see. Big fan of the podcast. Hey, shout out. Thank you. I am too. Pay us our money. I'm going to block that because that's not going to work. I can't be tracked down at the office here. Wiffle ball canceled due to streaker incident investigation. Dear Chuck, as I'm sure you've heard, your wiffle ball league game was canceled due to a streaker situation last Saturday. We're asking you not to leave town and to be available for questioning on Wednesday morning from 10 to 12. I can talk to my lawyer about that. Story about the mode. I thought I deleted that. And I'm caught up on my hate email for the day. It was only 18 since I got back from lunch about an hour and a half ago. So doing pretty well on that front. As you can tell, a lot of them were misspelled. A lot of sneak disses, as the kids are saying. That's not even counting the Text the Times that are sure to roll in. We actually have a second Text the Times burner phone for just for sports complaints. So pretty exciting times to be me. You know how back in the day baseball players would get like big knapsacks of hate mail? It's kind of me for the digital age here. I'm basically an outcast.
I think a lot of people at West Memphis feel like they're getting shorted. That's simply not the case. It never has been. So that's what I would say. I think it's just one of those, people. I would just say don't believe the hype. Whatever you hear about people, don't, try to look at it through an unbiased scope and see where that takes you. The hater's gonna hate. I mean, it's sort of it's part of it. You walk by. I hate Chuck Livingston. I hate that guy. That guy's the worst. Yeah, I mean, it's not easy to hear, right? It gets easier over time. The first year or so, year and a half maybe even, it really did affect me. I was like, man, I'm working hard. I'm working hard just like everybody else. But now I just kind of, I kind of realize that not everybody's gonna see what you see. Not everybody's gonna be. You're not gonna please everybody. You know what I mean? No matter what your job is, president of the United States, school teacher, sports writer, there's always gonna be somebody that's unhappy. All you can do is, like I said earlier, report the facts and do a good job and pay attention and cover the sports and all those things. And if you do that, then the people that say I hate Chuck Livingston, that go on the record, they're proudly proclaiming, I hate Chuck Livingston. It loses some of its meaning. If you don't give them a reason to, and you're doing the right thing. I've always said, my mama taught me, anytime you're doing the right thing, you're doing the right thing. Just do it. Just don't worry a lot about, what everybody else is saying or doing. You can't control what they do. You can only control what you do. And I hate Chuck Livingston. I think it's the same thing. It's one of those things that they think they hate you, but it's really just frustration, I guess, more than anything. Yeah, but it's always good to get a tweet or get a text from Earl, AC Coleman. Hey, we won tonight 18 to 16. Yeah, that's great. That's encouraging. And they want to report that. Call-ins on Sundays. It's great to talk to them about we're this close or whatever. That's an enjoyable part because again, I try to be as credible as possible. So if I'm talking to a coach and they're shooting me one-on-one about, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? Like that's exciting. I like being able to call Jed Davis or Lisa Beasley or Darrell Anderson at Westminster Christian and be like, hey, what if I drop by and we did a story about this person? How would that be? Yeah, let's do it. That's great. Students, to me, man, like, it really does. It sounds kind of crazy. It's like, students, they kind of are, the future of civilization and, future presidents and scholars and things like that, so you want them to feel involved as well. It's been a great thrill seeing, Marion's excellent student section, the Trench, over the past 2 years. We're in our second year, with them. And even 3 years ago, Monk Bennett, my boy, his senior year, it was a pretty good section. It wasn't quite as boisterous. Being involved with them and seeing what they're up to, the themes, the fun they have at the games, that really makes it worthwhile because they're, like I said, I remember what it was like being in school. I mean, I think everybody does, and those really were like kind of the highlights of your week. It kind of makes all the homework and the classwork and the 7 periods a day and the getting up at 6 o'clock. It kind of makes it worth it, I think, because of those nights at the Lady Patriot volleyball gym at Patriot Stadium. The other night at Blytheville, I thought there were a lot of Marion fans there, Marion students, and they're decked out in the country gear. I think that's awesome. So anything we can do to put a positive light in the community, especially with the kids, I think that's awesome, and they do a great job. Westminster Christian, they had an awesome basketball season. They've been very good every year. 3 years ago, they beat Marshall Academy at MSCC. It was MSCC then, it's ASU Mid-South now, which makes me sound really old. And maybe I am. They beat Marshall by about 12 at MSCC, and they'd kind of gotten gypped in December, like right before Christmas break, and it was kind of a rematch everybody's looking forward to, and they just beat the brakes off of them. And everybody went crazy. It was a great environment to be a part of. This is the boys team, and they've been very good as well. I'd say probably that particular Marshall game in February of 2014, because they really just dominated them that night, and that's one of their hated rivals. Earl's had a couple. Earl doesn't participate in as many sports because of the sheer size of the school, but I think if I had to pick just one, it would probably be the state title games in March of 2016 when back-to-back games, the boys and girls both won Class 2A state basketball title. A lot of people from Earl there, they're going crazy. They're spelling Earl out, E-A-R. Then it was awesome. It was really like a centrally located Earl. They were excited for their team. It was the 8th state basketball title for the boys, and it was the first for the girls. But they were all excited equally about all of them. Being a part of that was really exceptional. At Marion, there have been some. I don't know that I can narrow it down to one. Obviously, 2015 state volleyball title comes immediately to mind. The work that the girls put in, Coach Beasley put in, the sort of the heartbreaks they went through in 13 and 14. 13 losing the semis to Benton, who's an old nemesis of Beasley over the years. They get to the final in 14 and they lose to Russellville, who's a really good team. For them to get over the hump. Football, I think about playoff win at Lake Hamilton. That was a crazy, exciting, cold night. The Blytheville football game here at Patriot Stadium in September of 15 was also fun. I could really name one for each sport in Marion just because I've been at so many of those events. I'm not going to make it easier on myself, but the West Memphis basketball game at Patriot Arena in January of 15, the Big Hero 3 game where Dawson's breaking away, misses the layup, but Jackson's trailing the play. That was crazy. I've never seen anything like that before. Not just because it was West Memphis. Not because it was West Memphis at all, but it's just such a crazy ending. But that got the community excited. I'll never forget. I'll never forget that particular game just because of the circumstances. List goes on. There've been a lot of memorable games, and that's kind of the thing I like about the job too. In 20 years, assuming I'm still here, knock on wood, or even if I'm doing something else or whatever, it would be cool to run into somebody who played in one of those games. Hey Chuck, what's going on? you remember that West Memphis game where I missed that layup and, you know, Sean Dawson would be 7-1 at the time. And I was like, yeah, I remember that. That was crazy. At least y'all, you know, like that. That's kind of like, you know, you kind of think of it as like making memories, you know, sort of like you were there, they were there, and, you know, for that moment in time, you're kind of capturing those moments, I guess. And, you know, I think that's pretty exciting. What am I looking forward to? Yeah, I mean, it's football season, it's the fall, it's volleyball season as well, so there's a lot going on. Just really busy. You know, there's a lot happening. Got the podcast taken off. Monk Hour, I'm an occasional contributor on. A lot of exciting stuff going on. You know, people think of Northeast Arkansas and they don't really consider it to be I guess a very, trying to think of how to word it, but like, it just gets a bad reputation in my opinion. I love it here. You know, it's home to me, and you know, no matter who might say I hate Chuck Livingston or that guy does a terrible job, like, you know, that's just part of the job. You know, I'd like to thank a couple people. I'd like to thank my excellent editorial staff at the Evening Times. I couldn't do it without them because they're always there with an anecdote. You know, great boss Ralph Harden, the Coulters, anybody named Coulter. Two of my homies, road trip buddies, Landon West and Monk Bennett, who always bring the heat, keep me on my toes, my family, and just, you know, thanks to the coaches and thanks to the students and the readers and even the people that read what I'm writing just to hate. I mean, I can, you know, that's part of it, and you're entitled to that. And as John Lennon once said about the Beatles, somebody asked him, hey, you know, what do you think about people that are burning your records up? And he's like, well, to burn the records, you still have to buy them. That was my Liverpudlian John Lennon accent. So, you know, so that's sort of the, you know, I appreciate all the support, whether it's positive or negative or whatever, and enjoy it. And, you know, maybe I'll do another 4 years here. We'll see.